Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that you can scroll TikTok for 15 minutes and feel worse afterward, but you can game for an hour and feel oddly refreshed? Not relaxed exactly, not energized either, just better, clearer. And if that sounds backwards to you, you are not alone. Because we have been told for years that gaming rots your brain and phones are just harmless entertainment. But neuroscience does not really agree with that anymore. Today, we are not doing gamer cope. This is not games good, phones bad. This is about how your brain earns dopamine versus how dopamine is hijacked. And why, from a brain chemistry standpoint, picking up a controller is often healthier than doom scrolling on your phone. Spoiler warning for your habits, not a game. You might not like what this says about TikTok. First, we need to fix one massive misunderstanding. Dopamine is not the happiness chemical. That is one of the biggest lies pop psychology ever told us. Dopamine is not pleasure, it is motivation. Dopamine is what pushes you towards something. It is anticipation, it is effort. It is the feeling of, I want to do that again. Neuroscientists describe dopamine as a teaching signal. Your brain releases dopamine when it predicts a reward, and then adjusts based on whether that reward actually happens. This is called the dopamine prediction error model. It is well-established science. In simple terms, when you work towards something and succeed, dopamine reinforces that behavior. When you fail, dopamine adjusts expectations and pushes learning. This is how skills are built. This is how habits form. This is how motivation stays alive. Now here's the key part. Dopamine works best when it is earned, not handed to you, and that is where games and doom scrolling split completely. Let's talk about why games feel good. Not just fun, not just entertaining, but satisfying. Good games share a few core traits: clear goals, immediate feedback, progression over time, failure without real-world consequences, and most importantly, agency. You make choices, you see results, you improve. When you beat a boss, solve a puzzle, land a clutch play, or finish a level, your brain releases dopamine after effort. That matters. Your brain is being trained to associate focus, patience, and persistence with reward. That is earned dopamine. This is why even stressful games can feel good afterward, because the stress has a purpose. Gaming stress is short-term. It resolves. It ends with completion or learning. You lost because you misplayed. You try again. You get better. That loop strengthens executive function, decision-making, pattern recognition, emotional regulation, and yes, this applies more to intentional gaming, strategy games, RPGs, action games with skill ceilings. Not every game is perfect. Loot box gambling mechanics are a different conversation. But the core structure of games aligns very well with how the brain evolved to learn. Games are basically dopamine gyms. This is one of the most underrated differences: control. In games, you are the actor. You cause outcomes. You influence the world. You fail forward. Even when the story is dark or emotional, you are moving toward resolution. This builds a sense of competence. Psychologists link competence directly to mental well-being. Now compare that to doom scrolling. On your phone, you are not acting, you are reacting. You are fed problems you cannot solve, outrage you cannot fix, tragedy you cannot influence, comparison you did not ask for. There is no closure, no resolution, no progress bar. This is where learned helplessness comes in. When your brain is repeatedly exposed to stressors with no agency, it begins to shut down motivation. That is not theory, that is decades of psychological research. Gaming reinforces control. Doom scrolling erodes it. Now let's talk about the phone. Social media does not earn dopamine, it extracts it. Most feeds are built on variable reward schedules. Same mechanism as slot machines. You never know what the next swipe brings. Something funny, something horrifying, something enraging, something validating. Your brain keeps pulling the lever. But here's the problem. Dopamine spikes without effort create tolerance. Your brain adapts fast. What excited you 10 minutes ago no longer hits. So you scroll faster, longer, later. And unlike games, the emotional load does not resolve. You can see a funny video, then a war clip, then a political argument, then a body comparison post, then an ad telling you that you are behind in life, all within 30 seconds. That emotional whiplash elevates cortisol, the stress hormone. Studies consistently show higher cortisol levels after prolonged social media use. That is why doom scrolling feels exhausting. You did nothing, but your nervous system was in overdrive. And unlike games, there is no win state. You just stop because you are tired. Here's the feeling everyone recognizes. You put the phone down and think, why did I just do that? No memory, no accomplishment, no narrative. That emptiness is not moral failure, it is neurological mismatch. Your brain expects effort to lead to reward. Scrolling breaks that contract. You got dopamine without meaning, and when dopamine is detached from effort, motivation suffers everywhere else. Work feels harder, focus drops, even games feel less rewarding after heavy scrolling. That is why people say social media ruins attention spans. It is not attention exactly, it is reward calibration. Your brain forgets what earned dopamine feels like. This comparison matters. Gaming stress is acute, goal-oriented, and time-limited. Your heart rate spikes, you lock in, you finish the task. Scrolling stress is chronic, unresolved, and cumulative. There is no boss fight ending, no credits rolling. One teaches resilience, the other teaches avoidance. This is why gaming can help regulate mood for many people, while doom scrolling correlates with anxiety and sleep disruption. Not because games are magic, but because they respect your brain's reward system. Now let's be fair, gaming can absolutely become unhealthy when games replace sleep, when progression systems replace real-world goals, when gaming becomes avoidance instead of engagement. Earned dopamine can still be abused. The difference is intention. Are you choosing to game or defaulting to it? The same question applies to your phone. Social media is not inherently evil. It is just powerful. The problem is not usage, it is unconscious usage. Intentional entertainment builds, default consumption drains. So here's the takeaway. If you feel burned out, unmotivated, or mentally fried, your brain might not be lazy. It might be starving for earned dopamine. Gaming is not a waste of time by default. It is one of the last mainstream activities built around effort, feedback, and mastery. Your phone was built around extraction. So the next time you feel the urge to scroll, ask yourself one question. Do I want to consume dopamine or earn it? Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is pick up the controller and put down the phone. So the point here isn't that phones are evil or that gaming is some miracle cure. It's that your brain was built to earn rewards, not endlessly receive them. When you game with intention, you struggle, adapt, improve, and finish something. Your brain recognizes that as meaningful effort. When you doom scroll, you absorb stress without resolution, and your nervous system pays the price. So if you're feeling drained, unfocused, or weirdly empty after being online, it might not be burnout. It might just be misplaced dopamine. Next time you reach for your phone out of habit, pause for a second. Ask yourself what your brain actually needs, and sometimes the healthiest answer really is pick up the controller and put down the phone. If this resonated, let me know in the comments, and if you want more science-backed takes on games, tech, and how they affect us, you know where to find me. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.